School violence threatens to undermine American education because it destroys the essential piece of the learning environment. School violence has increased in the school districts of Philadelphia. Students, teachers, parents, and people within communities all around Philadelphia are not satisfied with the safety of schools. There is a big issue today concerning school violence. School violence is increasing, leaving concerns for parents who send their child or children to school, and also discouraging students from attending school. Many things trigger violence: weapons, crowded hallways, students with personal problems, peer pressure, poor mental health screening, bullying, and influence from parents. The risks are very high, and many major incidents have occurred not only within Philadelphia school districts, but also other school districts in the U.S. I have interviewed professionals on the battlefield of education, and this is what they had to say.
My name is Walter Montag. I'm coordinator of John Paul Jones Middle School's Alternative Program, which is a non-traditional program for at-risk middle school students.
My name is Christopher Krifka. I teach 8th grade at the John Paul Jones Alternative School.
Good morning. My name is Byron K. Ryan. I'm the assistant principal of Northeast High School.
My name is Edward Menastra, and I'm an administrator in support of Northeast High School.
What do you believe are the most effective ways of dealing with school violence?
The best way to deal with school violence is be proactive, to constantly reinforce what the rules and regulations are in a school.
Most school violence arises from just a few individuals in the school. So I think if you target those individuals and get them the help that they need, the anger management, the counseling that they need, maybe rehabilitation that they need, you'd probably be able to eliminate it. I think probably 8 out of 10 fights that go on in school develop outside and then are brought in. So I think it has a huge effect on school violence.
Yes, many times. Many times things are on the outside affect what goes on inside. And it's not uncommon for a student to be upset about some other issue that may have occurred at home. And now there's an issue which goes on at school, and because he's already upset or she's upset about whatever happened at home, reacts in an inappropriate way to what happens now in school. And yes, so there is a definite relationship between the two.
Just today I heard probably one of the worst cases of a student who had been sexually abused as age of 4 years old by his father. And he's been acting out in class and skipping school. And today I interviewed him and his mother and just said to the mother, just give me the bottom line of what you think is the problem. And then she started crying. We excused the young man and she told me the issue of what was going on with him.
We're human beings, and stress, anxiety, not having things always impact our behavior. So definitely I do believe that personal issues affect the amount of school violence that would be present, within the school.
We do random searches. The kids never know.
Because they find ways around it. They leave it outside underneath the tire before they come in the building, and then on the way out, they take it and put it back in their book bags, or when they are going to be searched, they give it to somebody else, and then later in the day, they get it back. So we haven't really had too many. I mean, I've taken knives off some kids in the last couple of years, and then that child is written up and dealt with.
Been successful in retrieving knives, guns, pokers, files, different things in this school, brass knuckles, different things, drugs.
Do you think that enforcing a law demanding students to see a counselor once a week would help?
Absolutely, especially kids who frequently disrupt, frequently make physical threats. If you have a child who's daily or weekly making threats like that or speaks in an aggressive manner, that child should be required to go to counseling.
I think it could help, but I think it should be voluntary rather than forced on them.
It's almost impossible to just have 5 counselors for 3,500 students and then do everything that we need to have done.
How reliable do you think a metal detector is?
I think they're very reliable and needed. Just the mere presence of school metal detectors within the schools, once again, it creates an atmosphere where individuals know I'm going to be searched. I have to pass through those metal detectors.
I would say fairly reliable. 100%, no, definitely not 100%, but pretty reliable.
I think the metal detectors are reliable, and just like anything, students find ways to get around them.
For an example, last year, I saw a kid pass his book bag underneath the table, and I thought that was kind of strange. So I said, give me your book bag, and I went through it, and there was a knife in it.
Do you think that metal detectors are necessary?
Unfortunately, yeah. It's
In
a
this
sad
school, too?
comment. It's a sad commentary on our society. Right? It's just not a question of the school; it's our society. Well, anytime there's a threat of school violence, it makes you more conscientious about your safety than it does your studies, and that becomes a problem.
School violence in the school causes students to stay away from school.
So, when you're continually worried about your safety, can I get from home to school without a problem? Get back home again from school without a problem? Will I be safe in school from the beginning of the day to the end of the day? That can have a negative effect on the academic achievement of the students.
Oh, absolutely.
You do?
I think they should take these larger schools and separate them.
Well, I think a cap would help.
Okay.
Yes, putting a cap on the population that would be admitted into the school.
I think targeting those students that are going to create a problem long before the problem exists, they show signs.
Well, a lot of it's society, and that's part of the issue. I don't think we as a society really have come to grips with this, and this is something I've raised many times over. I get angry with the adults because, we, the adults, produce all the videos which have the violence, and a lot of the movies which have the violence, and we produce all the clothes which glorify the violence, and we have the songs with the violence, and we're the ones who make the guns and distribute the guns with which all this violence is committed. And so when a student does something, either in a school or there's some street violence, all of a sudden we get all upset, well, how could they do this? And I wonder, well, we're the adults, and we continue to inundate our youth with all of this violence all the time, so why should we be surprised? And until we as a society really come to grips with what it is that we do in terms of what we present to our youth and how we raise our youth, I don't think it's really going to get solved. I really don't.
School violence is increasing over the years?
It's hard for me to say because I've only seen what's been on the news or what other teachers have told me about. In this school now.
Yeah, I do. I think it's underreported as well. I don't think it's being reported as it needs to be.
Do you think that civilized people should solve their matters this way? Do you support what you are witnessing with your own eyes? It is not right, and I, as a student, do not agree with these violent acts. We live in a society that most people believe that spilling blood will get their points across, or make them a better person in the eyes of their peers. There is always another way, a positive way. Why do people choose to take the negative route around things? School violence has increased, and more students are getting injured or killed. If we as a society kept an eye on what was going on around us and really focused on positive ways to solve the discriminating, jealousy, revengeful acts, or insecure actions, many lives would still be here on this very day. There are many ways to prevent school violence, and if all the bloodshed has not proven a point, then what will? Every day is another day. Why not make this day a step for change? Coming together and reaching out to students and others can help stop the school violence.
Well, thank you for your time tonight. Well, Ms. Menashe, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, I really appreciated you taking your time for me to interview you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and what an outstanding student to want to do something like this. Thank you, sir.